Too smooth that mud talking to have your ass in a wreck. Signing your check, pussy better do what he says. We shutting down shows, ain't gotta put no price in your head. Man, I'm coming for your tongue for all that shit that you said.
Gonna make the heat go boom, 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 boom. What it is, I'm gonna tell you what it is. Today, it's another profile, and as you can tell by that thumbnail, someone very interesting to me. I was a big fan. I liked his music. I liked the way he carried himself. I liked the whole get down, man. One, Mr. Blackie Fontana, right? For those of you that don't know who Blackie Fontana is, he was a rapper who's now passed away. Rest in peace to that individual. What led up into that? One never knows, does one? Shit happens. Things happen in life, man, that dictate the path that you go down. Remember, you always have, in a menudo style direct fashion, some say so when you wiggle. But at the end of the day, one never knows what happens the next day. You know, shit happened. Like this again, and then you just gotta roll with the punches. You know, as the punches are thrown, it's like kid dip. What are the Tyson shit, right? Anyways, Blackie Fontana, also known as Roberto Diaz. You know, this vato, coming from the city of Fontana, adapted that name and started to become a rapper. Okay, this was about the time of 2015, 16, 17, when rap was pretty prevalent. Down south in LA, the LA area, down sur, right? You got a lot of Chicano rappers. Now, traditionally, we've always talked about the Chicano rappers. If you're a Chicano, man, you talked about Kid Frost and Lighter Shade of Brown, and of course, Cypress Hill, and just a lot of different Chicano rap, you know? But there's a big difference between Chicano rap and Norteño rap and Sureno rap, right? And this vato was a South Side rapper. You know, talked about growing up in them streets, in the hood, living that life, you know. But a lot of people didn't know this individual outside of the hip hop community, outside of the rap game. You know, a lot of people get the shit misconstrued and think Sasuke, he's just a rapper. He's not a clapper. You know, oh, you didn't know? You got it fucked up. And you got certain individuals messed up. Like I said, them lines have been blurred a long time ago. A lot of these individuals that are out there rapping about the game and rapping about their life have really lived that. Now, there are some, Sasuke, nowadays everybody want to talk, but they got nothing to say, right? There's a lot of people that never really lived that life, but just speak on it because, Sasuke, it sells. Sex, murder, betrayal, gangs, pinta, all that sells. So they speak on it, but having never been there, having never lived that life, they're very interested in it though, right? But this vato did, you know, and I remember listening to Blackie Fontana. I remember he had two albums. Back in 2016, he had an album called Hoodlums. That motherfucker used to slap. I remember everybody used to look at me when I throw him in the fucking CD. Saz, who you bumping, homie? That motherfucking shit slaps. Blackie Fontana. Is your homie? Charlie, he's from down south. Oh, man, turn that shit out. Charlie, homie. I'm getting down with it because music is universal. It's a universal language, and I got respect for the vatos down south because they wiggle in a real fashion. If you don't like it, so you can get the fuck off my ramfla and do it pushing. Sasuke, watch out, the wind's blowing, and so is the fucking BART. Go ahead and get on that or the bus. Handle your business. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, I'm going to bump who I bump. Now, of course, in 2017, he released another album called A Real One. Okay, the Real One album was a different level. Sasuke, I rather enjoyed it. Reason being is I could identify with a lot of the shit he was talking about in the streets, growing up as a youngster and handling your business and the certain intricacies that go into that, into a hood. Now, all Chicanos are pretty much the same, bro, right? We might look at each other differently because someone wears red or someone wears blue, but at the end of the day, none of that matters. What matters is this, brown, right? Brown, we're all brown people, and whether you be Chicano or not, or just from a Latin descent, I identify with you, and I got nothing but love for you, babe. It's all good in the hood, coming from Gunner. But at the same time, it doesn't matter. Who the fuck am I, right? But I'm just saying that's how I rock. That's my narrative. I'm all about the raza and the unity of the people. Now, Blackie Fontana had a short career. And he didn't have a short career because his music wasn't pumping because he was buzzing, cousin. He was out there and he was making a name for himself. Of course, he was affiliated with a lot of people into the hip hop rap game. And sometimes along the way, man, you can make certain enemigas when everyone's trying to do too much. You know, when certain vatos are climbing that mountain and they're getting to the top and their music's really blowing up, other vatos are going to feel some type of way and they're going to try to say, hey, you, get off my mountain. And they're going to try to snatch him up all dramatically and snatch him down, right? That's just how it is. But of course, when you have that going on, you have to worry about who's hating on you, who's envying you, who's trying to apply the pressure on your career, man, so that way you don't make it, because that's they're trying to get that bolsita, a bigger one than you are. And now at the same time, what you also have to worry about is if you're a real motherfucker and you're out there with those politics and you're in the streets on some hood gangster shit, you also have enemigas. Okay, so traditionally down south in the sur, you already know, a lot of these different barrios don't get along with each other. There's a lot of vatos that I'm not going to say hate on each other, but they just hate each other. Vatos says, I don't like them vatos. Why? What'd they do to you? You see the way that his eyebrows go that way? Yeah, but yours go that way too. Watch, I'm going to comb them that way. Opposite. Fuck it. You know what I mean? I'm against the grain. This is how it is in life. You know, when you grow up to be a gang member, you grow up in that life, as Blackie Fontana was, not everyone's going to identify with you and like you. And that's perfectly fine, man. You're not here to prove anything to anyone but the people that you kick it with and yourself. You're the only one that has to look in the mirror and say, "Son, get that fail." You know what I mean? Or it's like, yeah, I hate this mole. I'm going to go get it ripped off by one of the doctors in Beverly Hills once I get some money, right? I need a bolsita so I can get this plug out popped, because that's gay. It just doesn't work. I got soy un blackhead right here, un grandote, right? You got different things you want to do in your life and different goals to achieve. But this guy, Blackie Fontana, was out there achieving and striving for his goals and his true beliefs. Now, from people that I've talked to, other vatos from down south, I've talked to vatos on both sides of the fence. Some vatos that said, fuck that puta. They didn't like him for one reason or another. Of course, it's nothing but respects. Rest in peace here, coming from me, brother. But at the same time, I'm telling you the story. Other vatos were like, nah, you know, the vato was fake. He was fraudulent. Everything he talked about was frivolous antics. He wasn't a real G in the streets. But then again, there was other ones who had his back, who said, nah, man, he was one of the realest and illest on the mic and in the streets. He was down for his shit. Now, I myself have went back and looked at some videos on YouTube. Simon, I use Google, right? And this vato was out there fighting. I seen several fights that he recorded and posted where he was out there handling his business. I seen one particular video where it says, a real man handles his shit with this, not this, right? And I adhered to that, man, and I took heed to that, and I listened, and I learned a little bit, and I actually recognized it, you know, and I liked it. I liked it because the fact that this man was willing to pull up and show up and show out and use his hands to do his talking, man, is a real man. Okay, now I'm not going to say if you go out there and bust and handle this, that you're not real as well, you know. Everyone does real things really different. But at the end of the day, from what I seen, how this character was perceiving and how he was doing it from the outside looking in, it's like, yay, I can say that this individual was really about his business according to the streets. Now, the street code says, man, if you got problems with someone, pull up and handle it. Stop talking about it. So I challenge you to a fight at WrestleMania. Sasuke, you ain't fucking with the WWE. This ain't fake, homie. This is real life. This is the streets, homie. You know what I mean? You will get no respect here unless you're about your business, unless you go out there and handle it and proceed as such, man. Then you get admonished, then you get looked at, then you get revered, then you get that trust and that respect that comes from the street life because you're down to handle it with these old school way, 90s, 70s, 80s era. You know how we do it, man. YA baby shit. Anyways, trip out. So what ended this vato's life is still a mystery. Okay, and I'm not here to say neither. I'm not here to help law enforcement or anyone with their fucking investigations. That's on them, cops and robber shit. At the end of the day, I'm sure that they're doing their due diligence and their correct process in handling whatever they have to handle. It's their job, not mine. I don't get paid for it, Sasuke. I get paid to do the wild thing. And Sasuke, right now, I'm out of commission. So look, the vato was shot. He was shot in a well-known barrio called La Puente. For those of you that don't know La Puente, I have a little bit of a history with La Puente, and I've told the story how I met a vato named Little Ray Ray, and I'll forever be grateful for him for saving my life. They were trying to hit me in Nellis, and the vato stood up for me and said, hey, you don't know him, bro. You ain't got really no problems with him. Why are you going to go that route? See him with these instead of trying to poke him with that. And so I was like, you Simon, Sas, and then I took flight. Because, man, I had to get off where I was mad at, and I knew better, so I did better, right? And that's just how it went. But anyways, Blackie Fontana was killed in La Puente on Elizondo Street. He was shot on a Saturday at 8 p.m., man. And basically, from what I hear and from what I've read up on, he was kicking it with some camaradas, with some homeboys in a court. You know, they were doing their thing. Nobody knows why they were there. But for the most part, you know how it is. You pull up on your homeboys. Everyone's chopping it up. Next thing you know, more homeboys are pulling up. More homeboys are pulling up. Sasuke, it becomes a block party. You know what I mean? Next thing you know, homeboys are disappearing. They're in a fucking garage doing scante. You got homeboys over here smoking a yak. Another homeboy over here trying to do a beer run. You know, eventually that night someone's going to be shot. That's just usually how it ends. For the most part, right? Traditionally. You're dealing with Chicanos here and gang members at the same time. So you know there's gonna be gunplay. Bang bang. In a menudo style, so they're kicking back. They're kicking back, doing whatever they were doing, possibly having a junta, chopping it up. Whatever the case, man, that's them. Okay, so word on the curb was that a car hit the corner, man, and several shots rang out. Okay. A couple individuals were hit and everybody else fled the scene. Of course, I'm running like a motherfucker too. I'm hitting fences. I'm running through fences. I'm going by Jack in the Box. If it's open, I might stop it and give me a taco. But either way, I'm gone, right? I'm getting the fuck up out of that area. Anyways, Blackie Fontana was hit, man. And tragically, he was murdered. He was killed. And there was also another man hit named Arthur Sandoval, who was a little bit older. He was 51. I think at this time, Blackie was 36, 33, 36, somewhere in that area, man. I'm not too precise, but I do know that he was taken tragically, not only from the hip hop world, but from the gang world and from life in general, which is what means more than anything. Okay. And no one knows if it was gang related. No one knows if it was hip hop related, if there was some type of beef, if there was telling involved, if there was this and that. You know, all I know is tragically another young Chicano is gone. Okay? Irregardless if you had beef with him, let's look past all the beef. Let's look past all the animosity. Let's look past all the hate. Okay? And let's focus more on a young Chicano aspiring rapper who was really starting to get a buzz, who was really starting to do it and come up, and who was well known in the streets to throw hands and handle his business, was chopped down with the chopper just based on someone was feeling frisky that night. It was cold that night, right? And they felt however they felt. Whether this was executed as a planned hit or whether this wasn't, one will never know, but the individuals that did it, and Black, he might not even know. So he just got hit. You know, it happened too fast. It kind of reminds me of the Nipsey Hussle thing. You know, Vatos are out there really in Los. They're really out there in them streets. They're really down south just as well as up north, man. Kicking back, handling their business. See, there's a big separation from just being a rapper. That Sasuke, you only see him on tour. And the next thing you know, he's in Miami kicking back, getting a mamon from a fucking A1A fucking bad chick. And just a little bit different. You never get to see these Vatos. They're in Aspen skiing con Kanye West, right? With big old fake funny boots on and a Trump hat. You just don't know. But the individuals that I listen to, that I pump out of my fucking speakers, that are the bass is bumping, a lot of these vatos are in the calles. They're on that calle, they're in the streets. You know, Nipsey Hussle, Tupac, individuals like this that are really out there wiggling, you know, and Blackie Fontana was amongst many and amongst them. Like I said, I listened to his music. I know exactly who this individual was. His music was a 1A status. It was the shit, right? And I noticed, you know, up north, you don't have as much turmoil when it comes to the rap game amongst rappers. Nowadays, there's a little bit of beef, just like I spoke on yesterday on Gunners Collective, between Rico Too Smooth and the rappers in the Fresno area, you know, and then the Fresno Bulldog gang gets involved. Of course, when you're a gang member and you're just doing rapping, what happens? Automatically, the gangs become involved, and so now it gets icky sticky. Okay, now it gets different. Now the whole element in the room has just changed. Sasuke, it's cold in here. I know it is. It's a cold game, right? Things have changed. That's just life. That's how it is. You can't be both in both worlds. You can't have 1 foot in and 1 foot out. Say, dive in. But there's sharks in there. Sabes que Simon, they're from Pomona 12th Street. Handle it, right? You just have to get in and do your thing. Or from Sanjo. Orale. What's time up? You got to handle your business. Okay? And this man was out there on the calles kicking back amongst some loved ones, his camaradas, his friends, or, you know, it could have been an enemigo and he was talking it out before he had to walk it out. And someone came by and shots rang out and him and another individual were hit. Okay? And that's a cold game. It's a tragic story because it happens time and time again. We just don't hear about it. Sasuke, right now, look, the wind just blew. Avato got shot. We're not going to hear about it. Okay? This is a big world. There's a lot going on in this world. Okay? But because this Vato had notoriety and a name for himself that he made in the hip hop game and in the gang underworld, we got to hear about it and we got to recognize. So I could be hit tomorrow and be like, hey, Gunners Collective was hit, and then that's it. You know what I mean? 2 days later, someone else comes on YouTube and they're talking about me, making fetty off my name. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't happen already. Anyways, you know, I just thought I'd profile Blackie Fontana because I could get a little bit deeper, you know. I'm not going to sit here and say that he came from a bad family or he came from a good family. I just know that he was out there growing up in them streets out there down south. And for anyone that knows, man, and I had a lot of, I have familia from Wilmas. I have familia from down south. And I see the Wiggles a little bit different than up north. You know, up north, we're more spread out. We grew up right there predominantly in our hood. And pretty much for the most part, most Norteños and most cities all get along. We don't beef amongst our own. You know, that shit stopped a long time ago. There was a time in the 90s, man, when the red on red was real, when the wiggle was real, and Vatos can get their whole shit mushed, right? You can get your whole jello pudding popped, right? That was what it was, man. It wasn't hammer time, it was noodle time. You know, they used the hammers to make noodles. Let's get ramen. You know what I mean? Top ramen. They'll take your top off, order to turn it to ramen, order to spread. That's how it was. Down south's always been a little bit different. Like I said, more congested, more condensed, a lot more neighborhoods. So these vatos all know each other. They all know who their enemigas are. They all know. So that's Blackie Fontana. Pill them, right? And that's how they are. I just think it was a tragic state, a tragic, unfortunate event. That's another young Chicano that was coming up in the game before he could prosper, before he could really get that bag, before he could really make moves in shower shoes, then power moves, and give you some knowledge that you can't get in college. He was chopped down. Like I said, it's a big mystery. Even to this day, a lot of people don't know exactly what went into it. And I'm not here to impede or help an investigation. It's not my get down. But at the same time, I just wanted to bring some awareness to the brown people out there, for the youngsters, for the young aspiring rappers, man, and profile one Blackie Fontana. Your story could end up like his, or it could change, right? It doesn't make you any different or any better than this individual. Let's just say he was in the wrong place at the wrong time and bad things happen. And they tend to happen in the norte and the sur, homes, when you're out there gangbanging. Now, it's like, yeah, I'm not here to poison anyone. Gangbang if you want. You know what I mean? But I will say at the end of the day, a vato like Blackie Fontana, I'm sure wherever he's at, resting in peace, he's thinking twice. You know? If you aspire to be someone in life, to have a career, to make a career change, to do something, like I said, you either got to be both feet in. You can't wiggle your toes in the water. Says gay, because piranhas might bite those motherfuckers off. They like clipping toenails. You either got to be in or out. If you're in the game, you got to either be in or out. You can't half step. There is no half steppers here. Homie, you were born with 2 feet. Use those motherfuckers and walk on by if you can't handle it. That's just what it is, right? So respects and shouts out to one Blackie Fontana. I'm sure there's a lot more that goes into his profile, but I will say he was coming up in the hip hop game quite viciously, man. Like I said, I bump his music, and then he was tragically took from us. Okay, and there's a long list of individuals that have went through that same light. Like I said, Nipsey Hussle was taken from us too soon, as well as Tupac, Biggie, and several other individuals. But looking at it from a brown light, from a Chicano light, it's just another young gang member taken off the map. And that's the way the administration, and that's the way the black guys, that's the way they look at it. It's just another gang member. But he was one of ours, okay? He was one of our rappers, one of our hip-hop heads, one of our people that was coming up. Whether, regardless, man, he was into gang banging, that was his thing. That was his life. But this just is another story to show you, man, sometimes when you're out there wiggling, shit can go wrong. Shit happens, you know, and it tends to happen swiftly and efficiently. Okay, again, for those of you that don't know who Blackie Fontana was, man, Google his music, look him up on YouTube. Let's keep his name pumping. Let's keep his music going. For those of you that didn't like the individual and had some type of animosity towards him, that's fine and dandy. You can leave your comments. Let's keep it civil. Let's keep it correct, homes. Let's keep it civilized. But that's how we do it. We do it like some real ones eating big tomahawk steaks using Grey Poupon. You feel me? Let's keep it cool. Anyways, with that being said, again, Mr. Blackie Fontana, Roberto Diaz, respect, shout outs. His music was pumping. If you don't know who he is, man, look him up. It's a tragic incident, but it's someone down south I know everybody knows of. And shit happens, man. With that being said, I hope that you move fast with a purpose. I hope that you get out there and get everything that you want coming to you, man. If you're going to be in the hip-hop game, if you're going to be in the lowrider game, if you're going to be in any game, man, play that game to the fullest and play it right. Don't play both sides of the fence, man, because the shit doesn't work out quite indubitably for you. You already know what it is, man. If you like these profiles, continue to hit that like and subscribe. If you don't, you can hit that thumbs down. It's cool. Heavy as the head that wears the crown. I'm going to continue to do it regardless. But at the end of the day, man, we need to go out there and strive for our gente and strive for our people. And in remembrance of Avato Blackie Fontana, regardless of what happened, homie, and how your story led, and whether it was a bad situation or a good situation or just a situation, it was tragic. And for that, homes, rest in peace. The gun, you know what it is. This profiling shit's getting easy, breezy. Beautiful cover, girl. Bang, bang.